Origen's amazing.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I am joined by Amazing. First and foremost, congratulations. First 2-0 on the split. You guys looked fantastic today. Talk to me about how the preparation was and coming into the week.
We focus on trying to win the early game as hard as possible, because in lane swaps you usually have the situation coming in where if you have a lead, you can maintain it pretty easily. So we focus on that, try to create pathings where we felt like we could get advantages pretty easily. So that was what we prepared for, and I think we showed off today.
Yeah, it really did seem to be the case. A fairly convincing 2-0. I have to be quite honest, though, Peke is still getting caught out of position, maybe disrespecting some of the Gragas engages. Is this something that you guys have spoken about as a team, because it was happening last week as well?
No, I think for each and every one of our members, it's up to them to fix their mistakes and everything like that. If they think they're a liability to the team, then they will know for themselves. So there's no one for us that is like gonna call out anyone else. Everyone has an intrinsic motivation coming in, and Peke has been one of the players that has been there for years anyway. So even if he's just like adapting to the role now, he's gonna be good in like a couple of weeks.
Going to be good in a couple of weeks. Seemed very good today, especially in that second game. How different is it with Peke being, back on the roster? As shoutcasters and as viewers at home, we seem to think and feel that when Peke is on the squad, you guys look just a little bit more unified, a little bit more as a single squad. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
I think it's pretty fair, because Peke is someone that is actually pretty uniting in how he acts, interacts with people. He's an in-game leader. In-game and outside of the game, he's also someone that you can rely on. So I think in general, Peke just brings a positive attitude to the team, and that's something you cannot replace.
Yeah, definitely doesn't seem to be the case. One last question. I want to jump into the meta and what we're seeing at the moment. Kindred, very early pickups, very, very good performances from you. In terms of the jungle, are we seeing a lot of changes between 6.10, 6.11, and now obviously looking towards the live patches on servers?
I don't know how much I can actually say to that, because I don't want to reveal too much, but for me, it just feels that the jungle meta is about just being at the right place at the right time, and champions that enable you to be there pretty easily are good in the meta. So I wouldn't go for the hyper scaling there is. So I think Kindred is pretty good.
You know what? I think that's a fair enough answer. Amazing. Thank you so much for the time. Congratulations again on the 2-0. We're going to wrap up the series over at the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Trevor, and thank you, Amazing. Always a great interview and honest insight there, and the biggest takeaway being, hey, obviously Peke has things to work on, but kind of the influence he brings outside of the game as well is what is propelling us forward.
It certainly is. Peke, in game one especially, landing a lot of crucial arrows. In game two, he was really going to town on that Ezreal, had a fantastic scoreline, so really is having a big impact drawing him in. What I'm really interested to see is moving forward, how if they're going to keep with Peke, because he definitely adds a lot of value to the team.
Certainly seemed like it. I must admit I was watching the Fnatic series, but it looks like mid lane was the most influential by the stat lines and some of the ending parts of the game. Can you maybe set up game two for me? Because I didn't quite catch the early game.
Yeah, so the early game, fortunately, was pretty much all about the mid lane. A lot of emphasis was put down onto shutting Betsy down and making sure that Power of Evil succeeded. Very similar to what we saw in game one. And we actually have a really cool replay of how a lot of that happened during the early game, because all of the emphasis coming out from Origen was basically, let's kill Betsy, let's make sure the Power of Evil is really strong. And they had this great synergy with the Karma and with the Kindred to actually set these ganks up. So you can see Betsy, he's just farming away in the mid lane. He thinks that absolutely everything is fine. And Power of Evil making these really aggressive, proactive plays, constantly trying to catch Betsy out of position. Hybrid with the ninja gank out of nowhere enables OG to get themselves a second kill onto Power of Evil very early on into the game. And this was just really the beginning of the snowball from OG.
Looked like a solid start in the Karma. I quite like to see out of Power of Evil as well. It's a pick we can add to the list. We saw the Azir as well. So, I'm pretty happy about looking at the performance from the rest of the game from game two when it looks at Origen and how they performed.
Indeed, very interesting. On the side of Roccat, not very good signs, obviously, because we looked at the early game. OG tried to and did exploit that, and then when Roccat tried to pull it back in their favor, it didn't quite work out. We have a pretty deciding team fight, I would say, up on your screen, where it turns out being a 4-for-0 for OG, but Roccat could have walked away with the advantage.
So here they get the pick down onto Hybrid. This is a great setup from Roccat. OG have no real answer. The execution is clean, and think of how many resources they've invested into getting that kill, but they want more. They get the lockdown onto Soaz. Airx is flashing in aggressively, but there's just no way for the rest of the team to follow up. And then you have Amazing with this amazing ultimate to keep his team alive, and then they get the turnaround. Airx goes down because he's just overcommitting way too much, and then you get this phenomenal teleport flank coming in from Soaz, which enables the rest of Origen to just cleanly win the fight. And it was simply a matter of Roccat overcommitting way too hard. They felt like that they had to make this play, and they just didn't have the resources to commit to that sort of an advantage.
And I feel like that's kind of the downfall of watching Roccat, right? Is in their minds they can fight at almost all points in the game. As soon as they're like, hey, this is what our comp wants to do, we're Roccat, we're great at this. And then you look and it's so early, they're behind already, they don't quite have all of the tools they need in that scenario to keep pushing. And that honestly, looking at both games at a glance, seemed to be a big problem, is they just weren't ready for the fights that they wanted to take, weren't set up properly. So it's a tough loss for Roccat considering the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I would say definitely. Definitely an 0-2. I did think that they could get at least a tie here if they got back on their feet in game 2, but that didn't happen. Very good for the side of OG, though, and our player of the game for game 2 is Amazing. Someone we were looking at to put pressure on, or not pressure, or put emphasis on the top lane rider, or emphasis on Soaz. This time, I love that OG went to a different strategy, that they had Pekka camping mid in game 1, then he had Amazing in that fight game 2, so they're not confined to one or the other plan.
Week 1, Soaz realized he needed to step up. There was a lot of problems having a new AD carry on, especially an AD carry that doesn't typically play AD carry. Now, with this week, Soaz has said, I can take a step back. I don't need to be the big carry anymore because Power of Evil is stepping up, Pekka is stepping up, and really overall the team. And the big facilitator for all of that has been Amazing. He's been putting a lot of pressure in the right places. His vision control has been really good, and Amazing overall has been setting up OG for success. So moving forward, I think he really will be the player to watch.
Puzzle seems to be falling in place for OG, 2-0 over Roccat. And while they were doing that over here on stream EULCS 1, over on stream EULCS 2, Fnatic and Schalke are still going at it. There's currently a pause on stage, but Stress, can you run us through what happens? Fnatic won game 1 of the series. What's happened in game 2?
So game 2, Schalke first pick is Zir, and everybody's a little bit confused at what Schalke are trying to do. And unfortunately, they're not in a good spot right now when you look at their game against Fnatic. Spirit has done a great job out of the jungle of punishing some of the picks. They've got a pick onto that Azir once already. A lot of ganks going towards the mid lane as well. The one thing Schalke do have to their benefit is 2 Infernal Dragons that they picked up fairly early on. So there's an outside chance for Schalke to still come back in that game. But man, Spirit with his ultimates is doing work over on that stream.
Sadly, an extended pause over there, but you can check in. They're having some cute images of the cosplayers and everything behind the scenes in the studio, so that might be interesting. However, with Origen taking starting our week 2 with a 2-0 sweep, we're going to take a break here on EULCS 1. Up next in the arena, it is Team Vitality versus the Unicorns of Love, so don't touch that dial.
The all elimination? I just remember his meme when he was coaching, they lost a game and he's in the background like...
Betsy snared. Oh, he's not going to live very long on that. One more shot, and it's Amazing who gets the kill.
Help here, help here. Okay. That's good.
Nice,
That's really good.
Go, Gris, stay Gris. And now they're charging down for the final fight of this game. Soaz in the back, Ragnar rocking, Ragnar rolling, Origen looking to close it out, but it's going to be it. And the first 2-0 for Origen on the split against Roccat, 35 minutes in.